Hi, this is the application demo for my application called Baseline Health AI. This is the landing page where you can see a description of the features that the application has to offer, and there's a button where you can launch the system workspace, which allows you to see how the workspace works without having to log in. So you can just view all the features in their entirety. You can exit back to the landing, and then the sign in feature is at the top where you can sign in with Google. Okay, and this is how I've logged in. So the application is split into three different tracks. The sleep and cardio track, which keeps track of your overall body systems that could be uh, impacted by a lot of everyday activities. So, like how sleep could impact your body and how that impacts your cardiovascular system, which is one of the most at risk, um, or one of the biggest reasons why people face major health issues is because of cardiovascular issues. So you can document your sleep um, through like how long you slept, how well you slept. So if you had a really restless night, then you might put a lower value for sleep efficiency. How consistent. So that's like if you went to bed at 8, when are you going to sleep? Like, is it taking you 2 hours to go to bed, or is it taking you like 10 minutes? Um, The hemodynamic and circulatory biometrics let you keep track of how your heart is working across a long period of time. So this would keep track of like any changes in your baseline. So if you average at like a resting heart rate of 70 beats per minute, if all of a sudden you start logging like 60 beats per minute, this would flag it and be like, you might want to go to the doctor for that. And when you run a baseline evaluation, that would take what you've put in for today and run it against what they know your average metrics are for yourself. So it would be based on the averages of what you've put in the past. And these graphs are more of a visual understanding for the viewer to see how um, their scores are being viewed. Okay. And the next track is maternal and metabolic. So this tracks gestational early warning parameters and any like hormonal responses. So if you're an expecting mother, you could document your um, observations or symptoms. You could you could document your average glucose, your post-meal glucose spikes, and that would document how food is impacting your um, everyday life. And then the last one would be the mental and cognitive analytics, which uh, keeps track of your cognitive abilities. So this would be important for people who are either genetically at risk for things like Alzheimer's or dementia, or people who know that they might be developing Alzheimer's or dementia and want to check it. Because for these patients, they would realistically have to go to the doctor every week or so to do a cognitive not experiment, a cognitive evaluation to check if their cognitive ability is going down, and that would be a flag for um, a a disorder like Alzheimer's or dementia. And that's not really realistic for most patients because they don't have the time to be able to go to the doctor weekly. So this would be a more like accessible way for patients to be able to keep track of this and test themselves. So uh, this linguistic and cognitive metrics, this could be used for both mental health and cognitive health by testing the style in which you're writing. So if at one point you start talking with very simple words, that might flag the AI as a decrease in cognitive ability. And for mental health, if you are journaling about something that is a heavy topic for yourself, it might help you work through your mental difficulties. And then the second feature is the voice check, in which you would start talking and record yourself. And this would evaluate the amount of time that you're taking to think of words, the way that you're coming up with words, and it evaluates the way that you talk to be able to have a better understanding of your cognitive capabilities. And then at the top here, or sorry, here, you can see that it tracks your PHQ-9 and GAD-7 anxiety. And these are two clinical exams that you should, or most people with mental health issues, are expected to take every 2 to 4 weeks. And this graph would take that data and map it out across multiple iterations of the patient taking that exam and see, oh, you've been improving, you've not been improving, where can we improve in our treatment with you, and things like that. So, and lastly is the pinned dashboard. So as you can see on every single one of the testing things on all three of these tracks, there's a pin button. So if you were to pin one of them, if you went to the pinned dashboard, everything that you've pinned so far would show up there. So for example, the place where you take the PHQ-9 or GAD-7 exams has been pinned to my dashboard because I would be using it the most constantly. So that is what this tab is for. Thank you very much.